A decade ago, Chennai had scored over Bangalore as Nokia chose Chennai as a manufacturing plant over Bangalore. But today, Apple has ticked Bangalore. They are going to start operations in Pune, and soon the second most valuable phone maker or the company in the world is going to start operations from Bangalore. This will bring down the phone rates, and a competitive market will be created amongst the smartphones. Well, this is a major advantage for the Karnataka government. It remains to be seen whether this will create more job opportunities and more investors will come to Bangalore. It's Vijay Satish, Jayaprakash for NewsX from Bengaluru.
We were targeting that company since long. I don't agree with you that Karnataka there has been a slowdown. For information, we are number one in the country as far as the investment proposals are concerned, followed by Gujarat. Now, a lot of efforts have gone in by the Industries Department, the IT Department to rope in. And I'm happy to tell you that in principle they have agreed to start their assembling unit in Pune Industry Estate. Maybe in the next few months it will happen.
We come with an ecosystem of startups, we come with an ecosystem of research and development, we come with an ecosystem of ease of doing business. So this entire package that these Fortune 100 or the Fortune 500 companies look for, it's available in Bengaluru, and Apple's initial proposal to set up their manufacturing unit here is indeed a great matter of great pride for us.
No, I think it's an extraordinary achievement. It's an achievement which is due to the Congress party. It's an achievement which is due to Mr. Siddaramaiah, because we have just been declared by the World Economic Forum as the #1 country in the world, #1 city in the world which is worth living in. So this is something which is extraordinary, and all this is thanks to the efforts of Sri Siddaramaiah and the Congress party, and in making Bengaluru a better place to live in. If you've seen how the roads have developed, how infrastructure has developed in the city of Bengaluru, there's a lot which has happened.
It's a great development, and Bangalore needed this kind of news, a sign of confidence in investors. Apple is a high-profile investment, and what it means is Bangalore was known for its semiconductor design capabilities, but this is about manufacturing, which means Apple believes that the ecosystem for manufacturing can be created in Bangalore, in and around Bangalore, and that's heartening news. The other good thing, of course, Bangalore has its shares of infrastructure problems. The good thing as a citizen is that this will also put pressure on the leadership and the bureaucracy to make sure that Bangalore works for all its citizens and its investors, and that's a happy development.
All right, you've been listening to reactions that have come in from Bengaluru on making Bengaluru the IT hub. Given the IT industry has taken a bit of hit with what's happened in America and continues to happen there, what is working for Bengaluru? There's been a political war, incidentally, over this. The deal was done by the Modi government to bring Apple in, but it's the Congress government in Karnataka that is taking credit. But to their credit, Bengaluru still remains India's IT hub. What to do and how to take this forward. On the broadcast with me, Brijesh Kalappa, who represents the Congress, is from Bengaluru itself. It's a happy occasion, Brijesh Kalappa, for you. It's always nice to put out some good news as a news story rather than criticize you all the time. But on a fundamental, Brijesh Kalappa, there is a problem with India's IT sector, and that IT sector has been about not only providing back-end services, but converting this into R&D, converting this into a manufacturing hub. What is your government going to do now? Converting this into R&D, converting this into a manufacturing hub. What is your government going to do now?
So I must tell you that this is the first step, and as a first step, it's a new beginning. And it's a beginning where Apple, which has two setups elsewhere, for the very first time is investing in Asia, is investing in Bangalore more particularly. And this is where we are going to have an initial assembly manufacturing operation center. And like I said, this is the first phase, and it's only due to Bangalore because, as you know, Bangalore has been striving, and we have been able to develop an outstanding ecosystem which encompasses all kinds of qualities.
You say you've been able to develop an outstanding ecosystem. The reality is, Brajesh Kalappa, is the people, it's the talent, it's the citizens, it's the companies who are shining in Bengaluru. When the infrastructure is creaking, sir, from the roads to the water to the lakes to electricity, there's a genuine problem. What are you doing about that?
See, insofar as the infrastructure is concerned, I must point out that for the last 9 years, we have had the BJP rule the BBMP. And last year we took over, and from then on, there has been a sea change in terms of how Bangalore has been able to deal with its basic infrastructure problems. And whether it's in regard to the widening of roads, whether it's in regard to making roads more motorable, whether it's in regard to building flyovers, whether it's in regard to developing the metro, Bangalore has now developed an outstanding pace of development. And for this reason, you'll find that there are about 400 research and development centers in Bangalore. For this reason, you'll find 3,500 companies, of which 750 are MNCs, specifically located in Bangalore. And you'll find that Karnataka today occupies the #1 position insofar as how the economy is doing. So the Congress party and the government has done an extraordinary amount of work to see to it that Bangalore is best poised to achieve a location like, to achieve a place like this. I must also point out that in the last few days, we have surpassed cities like Ho Chi Minh, London, Silicon Valley to become the most dynamic city in the world. And this is all thanks to the efforts of Mr. Siddaramaiah and the Congress government in Karnataka. Now a huge amount of work has been done. For instance, I must point out that GE today has developed its second largest set of operations in Bangalore. And also Oracle is developing its digital hub in Bangalore again. So this is, you know, whether it's in regard to aerospace, whether it's in regard to IT, whether it's in regard to...
All right, fair enough. You know, I have some more questions for you, Mr. Kalappa. I'll ask you to stay on with us. I'm just taking over from Rishabh here. We also want to cut to our Facebook Live, where there is another guest right now. Let's cut live right now. We'll go back to Brajesh in just a bit.
France, and of course the Louvre is also an obvious target when it comes to defending France's capital against terrorist attacks. So yes, of course, this is...
We'll cut back to Facebook Live in just a bit here. Brajesh, let me just come back to what you were saying right now. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can, Atha this side. You mentioned that most of it, the biggest reason you've put down to what your government in Karnataka has done to make the ecosystem, the atmosphere friendlier for investment to come from abroad. Apple, of course, has chosen Bangalore. It's a matter of pride for all of us. And a matter of pride for Karnataka and Bangalore as well, no doubt about it. But, you know, being the cynic that I am, I would ask you then, why did it take so long, first of all, into the government of Siddaramaiah for Tim Cook to come down and designate Bangalore as where they want to move from? You know, they've been doing it in China for a while, Taiwan even. And why is it that it's just one big glowing red dot on the resume as far as Karnataka and Bangalore are concerned? Where are all the other big giants? Where are all the other big manufacturers? Why aren't they coming to Bangalore? Like I said, full marks because Apple is there and it's a matter of pride for us. But it's just one company. Where are the rest?
Like I've just pointed out, Rishabh, 3,500 companies operate out of Bangalore. We have the finest startup ecosystem in the country. Most of the startups come from Bangalore. The second part is that 750 of these 3,500 companies are MNCs. So they're all there. Virtually every MNC in the world is in Bangalore. And like I told you, we are now going to reach about 4 years of Mr. Siddaramaiah being the Chief Minister.
All right.
So whether it's our industrial policy, whether it's our IT policy, whether it's our BT policy, whether it's anything, you know, the state of Karnataka has cutting edge kind of work in regard to how to develop and get investment. That's the reason we are the #1 economy in the country.
Okay,
We have
okay.
just been,
Some
respected
states
and
would contend
we've been
that
honored by a major group. So
Rajesh, some states would really dispute that claim, but I'll leave it to them to dispute that. Again, I'll ask you to stay on. And this is Athar, by the way. I've taken over from Rishabh. Rajesh, I'll come back to you in just a bit because our Facebook Live program going on simultaneously. Let's cut live to that and see what's happening there.
India was the only region where they actually reported some profit, and in fact, their sales are they've tripled, so to say. From 11% now it has come down to 28%. That's great, but yeah, another thing is Apple would be manufactured here, and so you really can't expect that a 90,000 rupee phone would come down to 50,000. That's not going to be possible. But another thing that we can,
you're not getting big discounts, okay?
the biggest thing that I was waiting for was that those refurbished iPhone, which is still in contention, they had filed an application. They will have to submit a report in front of the Green Tribunal, so to say, that they're not getting those obsolete products in India and really dumping it. That's going to be interesting. If that thing gets going, then yeah, it would be. Then you can expect a iPhone 6s to be priced for around 25,000 rupees.
Mr. Chairman also had a brilliant point when he said that a lot of phones get lost during the usage, the lifespan in India, and we don't really have a very robust warranty system, a system of giving the users some charging a nominal amount and giving them a new phone. So that is an area that I think we need to look into.
There's also another interesting factor we have to consider. Apple is very reluctant to come out with new products every quarter or every 3 quarters. And Indians have been spoiled because China has really made sure. If you look at the big Chinese players, Vivo or Oppo or any of those, they've all recognized that Indians change their phones because they're cheaper, much faster. So everybody wants to upgrade, and if you want to wait for the Apple 8 now, that's what people are going to be waiting for. And Apple 8 must be followed very quickly by 8.5, 8.7, 8.9 because they're not used to that. They're very stable in their manufacturing.
Yes, they are, and that is one sensibility which Indians are opposite of. We like to change our phones quite often, and as soon as something new comes up, we tend to latch onto it, and that is where the pricing comes into play.
Just as robust as we are hanging on to our wives or our spouses, similarly we are equally sort of, shall I say, fidgety when it comes to our phones.
Yes, I think it's basically a psychological play at working over there with the people who can't change their wives and their family. They at least want to change their phones. Some control over somewhere. Huh? So that said and done, what do you think about other centers that we can also develop, not just Bangalore? There are so many cities in the country which I think can be utilized for manufacturing units.
It depends on what you are manufacturing, which is one of my great fears about what Apple is going to do. If it's going to be a quasi-assembly center, sort of masquerading as a manufacturing center, then the net value addition is not going to be very much, which answers his question as to whether you can expect a huge duty reduction. Because if they bring in almost semi-assembled stuff, then you're not going to have the ability to cut prices.
Of course.
But talking of other centers, I would say that Andhra is a very good place, Andhra or Telangana, and the other option is probably somewhere up in the hills because you have a much cleaner atmosphere, you'll be able to get workers and land quite easily.
Yes, like Baddi in Himachal Pradesh.
Absolutely.
So
Himachal would be a good option.
And in fact, there were talks about Apple zooming into Telangana for this particular exercise, but in the end Bangalore won. And so that is good for Bangalore, no doubt about it. But it just not opens doors for Apple, it also opens up doors for other US manufacturers and international manufacturers to come in and make their products in India. We can have perhaps
Definitely.
and international manufacturers to come in and make their products in India. We can have perhaps
Definitely. I think that where Apple goes, a lot of US manufacturers look to see, hey, what have they got that we can get? So let's see whether there's there's some other tech player who wants
With
to...
our online team, of course, Dilip Cherian speaking to Vineet Sharma as well as Gaurav Preeti, my colleagues. Let's go back to Brajesh Kalapa, who is still with us right now. Brajesh, a couple of more questions before we move on here. Like I said before, kudos to Bangalore, kudos to Karnataka and the government. All credit where it's due here. Tim Cook's visit very recently, of course, must have helped. But as Dilip Cherian was pointing out right now, I think it's a very, very valid concern. Ultimately, this center, whenever it comes up, let's make sure it's not just an assembly setup masquerading as a manufacturing unit, because that wouldn't really add much. The value addition would be very minimal here. How do we ensure that Apple, just because it wants to cut costs from its assembly units or manufacturing units in China or Taiwan, only because of that wants to put the assembly here and then start masquerading like a manufacturing unit? How do we guard against that?
No, I think Athar, let's not read too much into it. One is to, the first part has been a great success, and that has been to have this kind of a manufacturing unit in Bengaluru. And this is, like I said, phase 1. Phase 2 will have a far more interesting components, far more juicy aspects, which makes, this entire deal far better, and will not just assembling phones here or high-tech equipment here, but since the fact is that we have a great ecosystem which has research and development at its core, and when research and development, all the famous and top research centers are in Bangalore, so naturally it's only corollary that what begins as a marketing or a manufacturing hub will soon transform into something far beyond.
Fair enough. Let's hope that's the case.
We should close our minds to that possibility. The point is that
let's hope that's the case. And then once again,
like I said, it's only work in progress.
Absolutely. Okay.
And this is phase 1.
Fair enough, fair enough. Let's hope that more and more manufacturing units come from global tech giants and otherwise, not only to Karnataka and Bangalore, but also cities and towns all across the country. Thank you, Brajesh Kalapa, for joining us on this chat, and thank you to our online team as well as Dilip Cherian, who joined us on the story. This, of course, was our special presentation, and we'll move on now.